Okay, thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here talking about I4C and, generally speaking, my work in the past 9 years, basically. So thank you a lot. I'm Silvio Peroni. I work at the University of Bologna in a department of classical philology and Italian studies. First of all, I just would like to introduce who am I and what I've done recently, at least, in research and also in my background. So as I told you, I work at the University of Bologna, but my grounding, my study were in computer science. I'm still a computer scientist, even if I'm working at a humanities department. I had the chance to work for a brief period in different UK universities, like the University of Oxford and the Knowledge Media Institute. And during my, let's say, period abroad in UK and also in a laboratory at the National Research Council in Italy, I've had the possibility of studying a lot about semantic web and semantic web technologies, and in particular the managing of data by means of this technology. And just to clarify what are my research topics, at least in the past 2-3 years, I've made that tech cloud there. It has been built by using the abstracts of my paper, and I done it just because it is pretty clear that I'm focusing on data in my research, and in particular the use of data. And before to start formally the presentation by introducing the topic of my talk, I would like to acknowledge some people. I don't read all the names, but I know that usually the acknowledgement will be made at the end of the presentation, but I will prefer to thank all these people just at the beginning. Surely I have forgot someone here, but I hope they can apologize me for this. So the first part of my presentation will be about citations, in order to define what they are and what is the difference between citations and open citations. That is the main point of my talk. So according to the Oxford Dictionary, they provide a pretty good definition of the verb to cite, which is to refer to something, a passage or a book or even an author, as evidence for or justification of an argument or a statement, especially if we consider scholarly works. The importance of citations, in particular for the scholarly domain, are pretty clear. They are used for knitting together our scientific and cultural knowledge, and this has been also, let's say, stated by important scientists in Europe like Isaac Newton, that in a letter sent to a friend say explicitly that he was able to see further because he was sitting on the shoulders of giants, where in this case the giants were all the scholars that have made impressive amount of research work before him, and that him was using for building the new research he was presenting to the research audience. Funnily enough, when I started to work on these specific topics, I had a clear problem of talking about citation, generally speaking, with a fellow researcher. The main issue was about basically the semantic overload of specific words that are used to referring to a lot of components of the citation, where it happens and so on. In particular, looking at the picture that is in this slide, you see that informally, by speaking with colleagues, we basically use the word reference actually to refer to a bunch of different concepts that are the article that is cited, as well as the specific part in the reference list that we use to define such cited article, as well as the specific pointer within the text that points to the reference, and so on. So what I worked on, I started to work on it basically 9 years ago, and I'm still working on it, is just to provide a specific formal definition for each of the components that form in the end a citation. And this is explained somehow in the picture in the bottom part of this slide, where you see that we use different words to refer to the different concepts that are around a citation. And according to this definition that we have provided in some formal model I will present in the next slide, we define a citation as a conceptual directional link from a citing entity to a citing entity. So the concept of paper A cites paper B, the whole thing makes the citation, formally speaking. So in order to formalize these specific vocabularies for citations and beyond honestly, in a specific model we have developed together with David Sutton, starting in 2010, a set of complementary and orthogonal models called sparrow ontologies in order to describe the various aspects of the publishing domain, including citations. And all these models or ontologies, as we refer to, are all available in Creative Commons Attribution License. That means they are totally open access, anyone can reuse them for any purpose, basically. And we have also created a website that contains a lot of description about the ontologies, some example of usages, the documentation, and this kind of stuff in order to help possible adopters to use these ontologies for their own purposes. And so this is just a diagram describing these models that I've just introduced to you. These parentologies are the dark blue boxes in the diagrams, and these ontologies basically allow you to describe several aspects of the publishing domain, and in particular there are some of those that are the green one that I highlighted in green that are devoted to the description of citations and all the other concepts that are around citation in scholarly documents.